Rain fell in sheets against the windows of the old farmhouse. It had been empty for years until Allison moved in last month with her 6-year-old son, Jacob. Freshly divorced and exhausted by city life in Philadelphia, she'd inherited the place from her late Aunt Eleanor, a woman she barely remembered. The farmhouse was quiet. Too quiet. Allison often told herself it was just the rural silence, not the silence of abandonment. But silence can scream if you listen long enough. The house sat deep in the Pennsylvania countryside. There were no neighbors for half a mile. A winding gravel road led up to the porch, and thick woods encased the rear of the property like a secret too dark to share. Jacob had stopped talking after the move. His therapist said it was temporary withdrawal, but at night he would cry in his sleep, mutter things Allison couldn't understand. One night she heard, "He's outside again, Mommy. He wants in." She'd rush to his room. His eyes were closed tight. He was dreaming, but his fingers clutched the blanket so tightly it looked painful. Allison tried to shake it off. Divorce was hard on kids. New place, no friends, no routine. Maybe his mind was just trying to cope. She didn't tell her sister. She didn't want to worry her. And besides, she needed this fresh start. The first real sign came on the 11th night. It was 2:08 a.m. when she woke to a soft tapping at her bedroom window. Tap, tap, tap. She lived on the second floor. Frozen under the covers. She listened. Again, nothing. Then it came again. Tap, tap. She gathered the courage to step out of bed and look. Nothing was there. No birds. No branches. Just the black sky and the field beyond the house. She laughed nervously, shook her head, and got back in bed. But the next night, the tapping returned. At the same exact time, she looked again. Still nothing. By the fourth night, Allison was sleeping with the lamp on. The tapping came again. This time from Jacob's room. She rushed in. He was sitting up in bed, eyes wide. "There's someone outside the window," he whispered, barely audible. Allison moved to the window and opened the curtains. Again, nothing. "Jacob, there's no one out there, sweetheart," she said, trying to steady her voice. He didn't answer. He was shaking, not from fear, but from cold. His little hands were ice. "Did you open the window?" she asked, alarmed. He shook his head. He opened it, but he didn't come in. He's waiting. A chill traveled down Allison's spine. Like a whisper she didn't want to hear. She checked the window. Locked. Still, she didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, Allison found footprints in the mud outside Jacob's window. Bare human footprints. She stared at them for a long time. They led from the woods behind the house and stopped directly under the window. They didn't go back. She checked the door locks, called a locksmith, installed a security camera facing the woods. That night, she stayed awake, watching the feed on her phone. Nothing. Until 2:08 a.m. The camera froze for 2 seconds, then resumed. In those 2 seconds, the outside light shut off by itself. When it flickered back on, she saw movement. She replayed the footage. A shadow, slender, tall, just outside Jacob's window. Not a man. Not quite. The shape was wrong. Too thin, too still. Her breath caught. She paused the screen. It was gone. The next day, Jacob wouldn't leave his room. "He says his name is Mr. Quiet," Jacob whispered. "Who does?" "The man outside. He doesn't talk. He just watches." Allison knelt beside him. "Sweetheart, that's not real. No one is watching you. You're just imagining it, like a dream." Jacob looked at her with wide, serious eyes. "Then why does he wave at me?" Allison blinked. "What?" Jacob pointed to the woods through the window. "He's standing there right now." Allison looked. The trees swayed gently in the breeze. There was nothing and no one, but she couldn't shake the feeling. that something had just stepped behind one of those trees. That night, Allison couldn't sleep again. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling dot until a whisper echoed from down the hall. Jacob's voice. "No, I told you not to come in." She rushed to his room. Jacob was asleep, but the window was open. Wide open, and the air inside was freezing. Allison slammed the window shut and locked it, then stood there, shaking. On the windowsill was a smudge, a faint print like fingers, but longer. She stared at the forest outside. It stared back. Asterisk. The next morning brought a sunless sky and dense fog creeping across the fields like spilled milk. Allison hadn't slept. She sat on the front porch, sipping black coffee, watching the tree line. She didn't know what she was looking for, but she knew something was looking back. Inside. Jacob sat at the kitchen table, scribbling with crayons. He hadn't spoken since. The window opened by itself. His small shoulders were tense, hunched over his paper. Allison leaned in. "What's your drawing?" Jacob didn't look up. Him. She froze. Jacob held up the paper. It showed a tall, faceless man with long arms that reached the ground, standing behind a little boy who sat on a swing. The trees around the boy were weeping. Each had eyes drawn into the bark, tears of red crayon. Running down. Another drawing showed a door in the middle of the woods. "What's this one?" Jacob's voice was soft. "It's where Mr. Quiet sleeps." Allison tried to stay calm. "Jacob, this is just a drawing, right?" "Pretend." He finally looked up. "He said I can come visit someday." Her stomach turned cold. Allison decided to do something she hadn't done yet, explore the house properly. There was a basement she had never gone into. The key had been tucked in the back of a kitchen drawer. She didn't know why she suddenly felt compelled, only that the urge was louder than the fear. She took a flashlight and opened the door. The stairs creaked. Dust hung in the air like breath. The basement was cold and dry. There were old boxes, rusted tools, and a mirror leaned against the far wall. Large, ornate, the kind you'd find in a funeral home. Its surface was so clean. She saw herself perfectly, but something was off. In the reflection behind her, someone stood at the top of the stairs. She spun around. No one. She turned back to the mirror. Now the stairs were empty, but on the glass, written in fog, were the words, "Don't let him in." She dropped the flashlight. It flickered wildly, casting shadows that crawled along the floor like insects. She ran back upstairs, slammed the door, and locked it. That night, Jacob disappeared. She woke up around 3:15 a.m. and found his bed empty. Panic gripped her. "Jacob?" She checked every room. Nothing. Doors still locked. Windows closed. Then she saw the muddy footprints. Leading from the back door into the woods. She didn't hesitate. Grabbed a coat and flashlight. Ran outside barefoot. "Jacob." Her voice bounced between trees. No answer. She followed the prints. Deeper and deeper, until she saw something ahead. A swing set. Old, rusted, half buried in weeds. A single swing creaked in the stillness, moving as if recently used. Then she saw him. Jacob, sitting on the swing. "Jacob." She ran to him, fell to her knees. "What are you doing? You scared me." He didn't look at her. "I'm waiting." "For what?" A pause. Then he pointed behind her. She turned slowly. In the darkness, between two trees, stood the figure. Long, thin, tall. No face, just a black mouth, open but silent. It raised one long arm and pointed back toward the house, then disappeared. She grabbed Jacob and ran. He didn't resist, but he kept whispering, "He's not bad. He just wants someone to come home with him. Just one." Back at the house, she locked every door, drew every curtain. Her phone had no signal. Internet, dead. Power, flickering. Jacob sat on the floor, drawing again. This time, it was a mirror. And someone climbing through it. She took the paper from him. Jacob, where did you go tonight? How? Did you find that swing? He answered in a flat voice. I didn't find it. It was already in the woods. He built it so I'd feel safe. Who is he, Jacob? He looked up. The hollow man. All right, she said, breathing shakily. No more stories tonight. We're going to sleep. Both of us. We'll talk in the morning. Jacob frowned. He doesn't like when you say he's not real. Allison kissed his forehead and tucked him in. Then she went back to her room, sat in bed, turned on the security cam. 2:08 a.m. came. Nothing. Then static. Then a frame of her basement. Mirror. From the inside. Something moved in it. The hollow man, staring into the glass, reaching out. She slammed the laptop, shut, and screamed. She ran to the basement door. It was open. The air from below was ice. Cold. At the bottom of the stairs. The mirror stood upright now, facing the doorway. On the surface was a single handprint, not hers. The mirror's handprint pulsed faintly in the darkness. Allison stared, heart pounding. The handprint was small, child-sized. But it wasn't Jacob's. She stepped back, breath shaking. Her instincts screamed to run, but something stronger kept her rooted. The truth. The mirror wasn't just decoration. It was a door, and something had come through. Back upstairs. Jacob slept soundly, drawings scattered around him like fallen leaves. She gathered them. They were more detailed now, almost lifelike. One caught her breath. It showed the mirror, cracked down the center, and a face peering out. Allison's face, but her eyes were missing. The next day, determined to understand what this house was hiding, Allison went into the attic. Dust swirled as she pulled open an old trunk. Inside were dozens of faded photographs, notebooks, and one leather-bound journal. Her aunt's. She flipped through it. There's something in the mirror. I thought it was my reflection. I was wrong. It watches me, learns me, and now it copies me. Another page. Jacob isn't the first. The house chooses children. It shows them things, gives them someone to talk to, someone to love. But the price is always the same. One must stay behind. The last entry. I've locked the basement, but he still calls. He says I'm his mirror now. Allison dropped the journal. So her aunt hadn't just died. She'd been taken. And now it was Jacob's turn. That night, the power went out completely. The air inside the house grew unnaturally cold. Jacob stood by the front door, his eyes wide, staring at nothing. Jacob? She whispered. He's almost ready, Jacob said. But he needs someone to take the other place. Allison grabbed his shoulders. No one's going anywhere. Do you understand? He looked up at her. He said he likes you more than me. They slept in the same bed that night, or tried to at 3 a.m. The mirror creaked. Not broke. Not shattered. Creaked. As if it had hinges. Allison sat up, grabbed the flashlight. The beam caught something moving across the hallway floor, a shadow without. A body. It crawled along the walls, then slipped under Jacob's door. She burst in. He was sitting upright, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Allison? He asked. Why are you scared? She looked behind him. The mirror was there. She hadn't brought it upstairs, but it stood in the corner now. And Jacob's reflection. It wasn't moving. She covered the mirror with a sheet. It moaned. In the morning, she called for help. A friend, a priest, even paranormal investigators. No one answered. The town was cut off. No signals. No people. Like the world was being pulled away, one shadow at a time. That afternoon, she noticed Jacob whispering to the mirror. The sheet was gone again. Jacob. Stop it. He's just talking to me, Jacob said, voice calm. He wants me to know what it's like to be forgotten. She lost it. grabbed a hammer, marched to the basement, and smashed the mirror. It cracked. Shattered shards flying everywhere. She collapsed, sobbing, but then she saw it. Behind the broken frame, another room, not part of the basement, a hidden chamber. She crawled through. Inside was pure silence. No sound. No breath. No warmth. Just mirrors. Dozens. Floor to ceiling. Each showed versions of her. Some weeping. Some screaming. One smiling with no eyes. And in the center, a small boy, Jacob. The boy turned. It wasn't Jacob. It wore his face, his clothes. But its eyes were pitch black. Its skin too smooth, too perfect. And when it smiled, the mouth stretched far too wide. You broke the door, it said. Allison backed away. The mirrors flickered, and the real Jacob appeared, pounding from the inside one of them. Help me, he cried. He's wearing me. Allison screamed. Suddenly, arms long, skeletal burst from one of the mirrors, dragging her forward. She fought back, swung the hammer wildly, smashing reflections. Each mirror that broke screamed like a soul. Dying. Then silence. Only one mirror remained. The one with Jacob inside. She knelt. Jacob, I'm coming. She touched the glass. It was liquid now, and freezing. She stepped in. She fell through. Darkness. Memories. Voices, cold fingers brushing her skin. Then light. She stood in a forest, but the trees were mirrored. Sky black. Ground. Glass. Jacob lay in front of her, eyes wide. Behind him, the hollow man emerged, taller than ever, arms stretching across the trees. He whispered, "Take his place." Allison stood tall. "No, you must choose," the voice boomed. "One stays, one returns." She grabbed Jacob's hand. Held it tight. "Take me instead." The hollow man paused. Then nodded. He placed a finger to her forehead. Pain surged. Everything turned white. Allison woke in her bed. Jacob beside her. The sun was up. The mirror gone. Everything normal. Except when she looked in the hallway mirror, her reflection didn't follow her. It stared and smiled. Asterisk. For days things seemed normal. Jacob laughed again. The shadows were gone. No whispers, no handprints, no mirror. Allison cooked breakfast, cleaned, walked Jacob to school, but inside, something was wrong, very wrong. She didn't dream anymore. She didn't cry. She didn't feel cold or heat or pain. And sometimes she caught her reflection smiling when she sent single quotes T. One morning. Jacob sat across from her, spooning cereal into his mouth. "You're not my real mom," he said softly. The spoon paused midair. "What?" she asked, smiling gently. "You came back," he said, "but something else came with you." She wanted to laugh it off, but couldn't, because she remembered she had chosen to stay, and yet here she was. So who stayed behind? That night, she looked in every mirror in the house. Most showed her face, normal, but just one showed her back. Even when she faced it, she returned to the attic and pulled out her aunt's journal again. One line stood out now, clearer than ever. Sometimes it doesn't take the body. It takes the soul, leaves a shell behind. Her hands trembled. Was she a shell? She began recording herself, sleeping, cooking, talking, reviewing footage. Everything looked fine until one night. Around 2:14 a.m. She watched herself sleep, then sat upright. Her eyes were wide, black. She stared directly at the camera and whispered, "You should have stayed where you belong." Panic. She burned the footage, smashed her laptop, tried to ignore it, but the next night she woke up in the mirror, looking out, watching herself. She screamed, pounded, but the glass didn't even ripple, and the version of her outside just kissed Jacob goodnight, then turned and winked at her. She had never left. The house had let her think she did. The mirror world was a prison. Days passed without light. Time twisted. The air didn't move. Allison walked through forests made of glass. Faces stared at her from trees. Some were screaming, some silent, some were hers. She found a woman in white. Her aunt still alive, but barely. I tried to warn. You, the aunt said. How do we escape? Allison begged. You don't, her aunt whispered. You endure. Until the mirror chooses someone else. In the real world, Jacob's new mother became colder, stricter, always smiling. Neighbors noticed. They whispered, but couldn't explain. Jacob, now older, began drawing again. One picture showed Allison trapped behind a mirror, screaming silently. Another showed Jacob holding a hammer, and a third. The mirror shattered. One night, years later, Jacob, now a teen, entered the attic. The mirror, long hidden behind walls and furniture, pulsed faintly. He placed his hand on it. I know you're in there. Inside the mirror world, Allison stood still, her back to him. Jacob? She whispered. He nodded. I remember you, the real you. She turned. They pressed hands through the glass. And then, crack, Jacob smashed it. Shards flew. Light exploded. Allison collapsed onto the attic floor. Back. The fake mother screamed, her face twisting, black liquid pouring from her eyes. She melted into shadow and disappeared. Mother and son embraced, finally whole. But behind them, one shard of mirror remained. Faint, smiling reflection. It hadn't ended, just shifted